Well, the topic is a constant distraction. And I'm sure we have experienced this, and the children in the present days are definitely more distracted than we used to be their age. And it's the time, I guess, for us to debate, even reconsider the need for this distraction. Why is there a need, constant need for distraction? Is there also a constant need for focus? We try and bring in focus most of the times. We tell our children, concentrate, focus, focus on your work, because there is a goal for them to achieve. The exam coming up, the projects coming up, whatnot. Now, is this need for focus and need for distraction, are they same? Are they the two faces of the same coin? You know, are these the polar opposites? The polarity that exists. And is there a need for us to go beyond or rise above this polarity? Where is this deeper need for constant distraction or constant focus coming from? you know we had earlier talked about fragmentation, where my thinking is not very aligned with my feeling and doing. So consider this, again, ponder over it later. But these two forces, the focus, what I'm trying to do in focus is moving towards completion of the task on hand, right? I want to complete it. Like, let's say right now, summer vacations are going on. I want to complete a project that's given to me at the summer camp. Could there be a fear associated with completion? If I complete the project, what will I do next? Is there a void created there? Am I at a loss if I complete this project? So could that be triggering my need to be distracted, right? So if I'm distracted, if I don't complete the project, if I kind of not finish it, then I can keep dragging it along. I can hold on to somebody who is with me. I can hold on to um, the project itself. Something to do, that kind of keeps me going. It's like carrot and the stick kind of a thing. Show the carrot to the horse and keep it going, because fear of the stick. Think about it. Now this distraction is protecting me from completing. So because somewhere the completion is seen as a void, and now distraction, I don't need to complete it, so I don't have to face that void. Could that be the reason? Why are we distracted constantly? What does this completion stir the fear within me? Is it threatening me? Is it, what is this fear behind completion? That's something, we need to look at. Many a times, especially when my favorite cousins come home, or there is favorite thing that I'm doing, I don't want it to end. You see that especially with children, and especially when it coming to the close, they keep pushing it. you know they don't want to leave the place. And of course, eventually they exhaust, and we have to finish it, and then next morning we are bored. There is kind of a gap, emptiness, and they want to do the same thing again. And we as parents are exhausted of keeping them busy. Now, again, this is something we need to keep looking at. And to avoid this constant distraction, what tools are we bringing to bring that focus back? So there is a need for me to constantly put my best foot forward, despite despite the distraction. Now, putting best foot forward is more like bringing the focus, but not on that short term task or the task on hand. It is more like a vision, a clarity that I have. So, for example, if I have this vision of climbing the Mount Everest, then I need to train for it. I go in for training. I'm not worried about completing that training. I'm not distracted when I'm completing the level one of the training because it's like level one done, so I can move to level two. There is no distraction there. You can see people working with great focus because they have this long term vision, the vision that takes some grit and patience and perseverance that I have to put in and day out. Now, that is putting the best foot forward with clarity for my vision. Now, when I set a goal for my child that you need to get XYZ skills before the summer vacation ends, I have created that vision. Child is not part of that game. So for them, it is just still a daily task. Oh, I have to wake up now to go for my piano class. You know, and children under 14 do not have that ability to even hold on to that large vision. And many parents also complain that children under 14 keep changing their interests. Parents have paid so much of money to enroll for a piano class. Now they want to go for cricket. Now get all the gear for cricket. Children want to do athletics and quit that, do swimming. And they're exploring all of this. That's not distraction per se. Distraction comes when there is something that we set them to finish. I mean, in some ways, even the summer holiday could be distraction because we are enrolling them in a class and we want them to finish and they don't want to finish it. Sometimes they just don't want to go because they're not interested. Other times they may not be interested in completing because they may lose friends. So, something again, we need to ponder upon each case and wonder about how this constant distraction and constant need to focus are like the two wheels balancing each other, helping us establish that neutrality to rise above this need for distraction and need for focus. Somewhere, again, it is calling for this inner fragmentation to be addressed, come to that central belief or neutrality, balance, and stay in the present. When I'm present to an activity, I know this activity is going to finish in 3 days, and I need to do the best possible, put the best possible efforts in learning a skill or teaching a skill or some such thing, and don't regret that the 3 days are over. Look forward to the next level of it. Sometimes repetition of the same stuff over and over is nothing new learning is happening there. So I could be bored. And bored is distraction. Or I'm not deeply bored to innovate something out of this repetitive patterns. So what I think as a bane could also be a boon. And I need to know how to balance and rise above. So we begin something with the focus. There is a progress that happens. The completion comes closer. Then there is this inner fear. Oh my God. This is very subtle. It may not be very obvious, but I may not be always conscious about it, but it kind of persists. Then there is a distraction. I take some new project. I take some new idea. I do not finish it. Fear of doing it beautiful also or not completing. Like for me, I start doing this crochet, I'm learning, but I don't say I'm learning. I want to do it perfectly because I'm of a certain age and I talk about it, so I need to do it. I begin it, and 2 rounds into it, I get distracted because it doesn't come as per what I've seen in a YouTube or what someone else has been doing, and then I'm distracted to go do something else. We could also talk about temperament here, that some of us can work with great focus however mundane the project is, and some of us cannot focus however interesting the project is. But overall, especially with distraction, the project remains incomplete. And somewhere that identity stays intact. So this keeps me in that permanent state of becoming. So in a way, it's becoming is the process. We said human being is becoming in the long run. So at times we also need to be ing. I need to be in being. So then I don't get worn out. I have sense of accomplishment, like climbing the Mount Everest. Level 1 is done. Of course, there are 10 more levels, but level 1 is done. That is the focus that I need to develop with putting my best foot forward, setting that goal, setting that vision board, and helping children also do that. When we drop something, we drop with a good reason. Swimming is something that I do not like at all. I hate water. I don't like the chemical in the water. I don't like the pool being very crowded. Maybe if you could take me to a pool that's less crowded, I'll continue it. But right now, rather than making excuse or being distracted or wanting to do something else, I state the reasons as to why I do not want to complete that project or complete that 1 month of summer classes that I've signed up for, rather than making excuses. That comes again from clarity. So somewhere we are talking about integrating the fragmented part of ourselves, paying attention to it, being in the presence, setting up of a clear vision or a goal, and then working towards it. Even when dropping out of it comes, talk it out. And when I, as an adult or a parent, begin talking about the projects that I drop out of, children will have the courage to also speak up. They pick that language, they pick that vocabulary, and eventually they will also be ready to kind of have that conversation of not having that fear of either dropping in completing the projects, but say I'm distracted right now because I'm unable to focus because of XYZ reason. And that's going to help us have strong relationships with our children. Thank you. Any questions?